is our Rotarian of the Day. Once he hits record, he'll be up here to introduce our speaker.
Thank you. It is my privilege to introduce Stephanie Fry. We have been friends for 14 years. We met at Leadership Stillwater. And we are what?
Spicy.
We are spicy. That is right. I am spicy by association, but we are spicy. We were in class 19. And she was then and is again the executive director of Big Brothers Big Sisters here in town. And we're delighted to have her here today. And Stephanie, come on up.
Mic on now. There we go. I've gotten an education today. The trivia. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you all for having me, and thank you, Kevin. Our friendship has been amazing and wonderful, and I recommend Leadership Stillwater to anybody. It was a great gig, and we came away with wonderful networking and relationships. So I feel that, as Kevin said, I was with Big Brothers Big Sisters in, about almost 12 years ago. I started with Big Brothers Big Sisters, loved the organization, and there were things that were changing in my life and in the organization at the time. So after about 4 years, I took a little break and scratched an itch with another nonprofit, and then also decided to explore marketing in the healthcare industry, and then COVID happened, and I decided not to explore that anymore. And the opportunity came up to come back home to Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I can't tell you how much it feels like home. You don't appreciate what you have sometimes until you leave it, and then you realize, there was a lot of, I didn't realize how much I missed it until the opportunity came back to return to not just a mission I feel very confident in and passionate about, but I love the nonprofit world, and I love how it's supported by so many people in this community. Most of you are right here in the room support the nonprofits in this community, so thank you for that. So I want to start with this little visual for you. Picture this. Think about a person who poured into you, and what that meant to you. Whether you were a teeny kiddo, a teenager, a college student, a budding professional. Think about you as that person and how they poured into you. We are trying to fill buckets of kiddos, one conversation, one visit, one smiley face at a time. And that's what Big Brothers Big Sisters is all about. I want to give you a quick overview of our organization, what our need is, and how you can help. And we'll be talking about filling the jar or the bucket or the soul of the kiddos that need to be filled, that are missing, that have some holes. So I'm going to try to remember to keep up with the slides here. Our mission is unique in that it is one-to-one mentoring. It's relationship building that's on a one-on-one level. A lot of people come to us and say, hey, we've got a group we want to volunteer. And we work with groups a lot in volunteer projects, but really our need is one-to-one mentoring. We need volunteers to give of their time, much like you all do in the school already with the reading program. It's actually a lot like that, only we do things besides reading, or in addition to reading. It's time spent, it's connection. So my favorite part about this job is talking to grown-up littles. And I just want you to, I'll share a story. I have become friends with a woman who started her life as an infant in ICU and moved on to foster care once she left the hospital. She grew up in the foster care system, 36 different foster care homes, plus group homes in addition to that. She turned 18 and was sex trafficked. And her life basically went from tragic to more tragic. The thing about her, though, that happened is that somewhere along the way, she had a big sister. And that big sister poured into her. was actually a short time, less than a year, poured into her, and she remembers her being the only person the first person that made her feel like she mattered and someone cared about her. She doesn't have good memories of her family, but she did have memories of her big. She remembered that she was an important person. Whenever she would see her around other people, she could tell that she was important. And oddly enough, she remembers the smell of her perfume. She can't remember her name. She's been through so much trauma in her life, she has a hard time with names, but she remembers the smell of her perfume. She remembers how that woman made her feel. And I'll tell you a little bit more about her, but those are the things that our littles say. And we can quantify the effect that we're having, but you actually, the effect that we're having is actually immeasurable when you talk to grown-up littles. So that's my favorite part of this job. A little bit of history. A lot has changed over the years, but our mission has been the same since 1904, and that was when a court clerk turned attorney turned journalist started the Big Brothers Big Sisters movement because he saw too many kiddos coming into the court system he wanted to prevent them from being repeat offenders. So he started a mentoring program for boys. And about the same time, the ladies, maybe even before, it's hard to say who started it first. About the same time, the ladies, Catholic ladies, started something for troubled girls. And so the Big Brothers and the Big Sisters eventually joined together to create Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. And in the 1980s, Big Brothers Big Sisters became an organization in Stillwater. There were several across the state. And then in 2016, all of the state agencies merged to become one 501c3 for efficiencies. That was a new thing back then, and it's definitely a trend now. And that has been a wonderful thing for us. And in 2012, I came along, and in 2022, I came back. And I also love, one of the things I love about coming back is rebranding. We had a lovely little brand with I don't know if you remember seeing the Purple Heart with a little person on one side and a big person on the other side. The idea behind this brand, the bee, is that basically the concept of the small bee on the left representing the little, and the completion of the green of the capital B in the middle is at the addition of a big, and coming together they complete each other and function as a whole and form a new relationship, and that is the beauty of that. It kind of tells a story, and I love that it tells that story. I love that as the whole is formed, we continue to fill our little, I had more smileys here. We continue to fill our little jar of one visit, one connection at a time. It's under my paper, thank you, I appreciate that. My visual is, falling apart here. I didn't want to forget information, so I made a bunch of notes. So we are, as I mentioned, we're one organization, five agencies across the state. We function as one organization when it comes to money saving, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to accounting and the pieces that are administrative. But when it comes to fundraising and when it comes to basically decisions within our own community and how we function even with our program, we're very autonomous. Each area office is supported by a local board, and we are looking for board members and committee members on a regular basis. So if anyone is looking to volunteer in that sense, we would love to have you. So in terms of functioning as an autonomous organization here in Stillwater, we are not only proud to be a United Way agency, and for those of you who are participating in the United Way campaign, either with fundraising or giving or both, thank you. We appreciate being we appreciate being an agency of the United Way and have been for many years. Aside from the individual giving that we throughout the year, and then grants that we seek. We do 2 fundraisers, and you may have seen information about this over the years. Our Bowl for Kids' Sake fundraiser is peer-to-peer fundraising, and that I'm happy to have a save the date for that already for 2024. And then we have a fun gala event that happens every year. It's called Big Casino Night, and the theme this year is Gatsby. Gatsby Games and Fun, and is going to be had on February 9th. I'm also thrilled to have leaders in the community that are supporting us outside of our board. Colette Campbell, whom many of you know, is our event chair for our Bowl for Kids' Sake. So, and then Kevin Fowler with Simmons Bank is our event chair for our gala. And both of them have extensive history with Big Brothers Big Sisters. Colette having been a part of Bowl for Kids' Sake and on our board for many years. And Kevin, I don't know if you know this, but he has, in addition to being a supporter of Big Brothers Big Sisters in general, he has 14 years history as a big brother. So next time you see him, you need to ask him about that. He has our longest run as a big brother. And so one of the things about Big Brothers Big Sisters that is why I stand here before you today is our state is at risk. These numbers make it very evident. Our future as a state is at risk because of our kiddos and the risk that they're facing. Our littles are dealing with big issues. They need the pouring into the pouring in. One visit, even this little bit is still more than what they had before, even this little bit. And our goal is to provide them with someone stable, someone that can help come alongside them and provide that extra support, be that positive role model, but really just connect to them. They don't have a good connection. Many of them have severe connection issues because their parents have neglected them or abused them or just don't care. I'm getting better at this. So how many of you are familiar with ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences? Can I see a show of hands? A little bit? Okay, well, I know a couple of you are. We've got board members and family members of the board members right here. Adverse childhood experiences is something I'm very familiar with because as a former foster parent, now adoptive parent of 3, I joke that what were we thinking, and it's a good thing they're cute because we have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 7-year-old. We are overwhelmed and overjoyed simultaneously all of the time. A lot on the overwhelmed side lately, but it's all right. So adverse childhood experiences basically are from trauma, and the trauma, all of these descriptors of trauma would be some of the ACE score. So ACE, there's a scoring system for ACE, for adverse childhood experiences, and all of us typically have experienced something. Someone close to us we could check a box and say, well, that's been a part of my life or my family's life. So maybe we have an ACE score of 1 or 2. But most of the kids that we're working with have an ACE score. The highest scoring is 10, and that the trauma that disrupts a child's brain development also causes not just cognitive problems but chronic health problems, and that can continue on into adulthood and into for the rest of their lives unless we can address it. And we do what we can to address that with PACEs, which are compensatory and supportive measures. And there's a wonderful TED Talk about ACEs and PACEs if you care to look that up. So our solution is one-to-one mentoring. Thank you. I will do that. It's a short little TED Talk, and I think you would all appreciate it. So we are proud to be actually a part of the solution. It blows my mind when I hear teachers state in Stillwater Public Schools, that they see mentoring as the #1 transformative factor in kids who have troubling behavior, trauma, any type of issues that are related to trauma. Counselors will tell us, the counselors locally and in the schools will tell us that they see change when a child is matched to a mentor. And our mentors are all ages. So it's whether it's a college student or a retiree, they are seeing that change happening. And while I like to tell people, mentoring, looking back on mentoring, I think of the women who mentored me, and it's hard to quantify the impact that they had on my life. It was not something that they had to do, they chose to do. And I think that's part of what makes mentoring so impactful, is because it is a choice. Those people, mentors don't have to be in our lives, and they choose to be. But in addition to that, the piece about mentoring that I want to clarify, it's a feel-good thing. We enjoy connecting with one another. We're made to connect, and also it's not hard. But the return on investment is so great for what's not hard. There is hard involved, but the return on investment is so great. I can't even say those words because I get emotional about it. I'm not here to raise money today at all, so I just want you to have a picture of what it costs to support a match over a year's time. And we appreciate all of the fundraising being done for us with the United Way and other fundraising efforts. We have two programs. We have our traditional program, which is the community program, and that is this brochure here. If you were ever interested in pursuing being a BIG, the cool thing about this is that it gives you kind of a snapshot of what the first 90 days could look like. It's not a formula. Relationship building is not a formula, but it kind of, if you were to think of mentoring as, wouldn't it have been nice in the dating world to have like a brochure, a guide? Well, this is a mentoring guide that you can just look at and say, oh, I hadn't thought about that. That would be a good fun thing to do. So this is for our community program. And our bigs and littles enjoy activities within the community. They meet a few hours, a few times a month. The big introduces new experiences and opportunities and develops a relationship with the parent and the child. And then we do have what we call a site-based or a school program. And the matches meet for 1 hour a week, or not even an hour, it's about 45 minutes a week during the school year, and summers are off. And they're on campus, and there's a little bit less creativity and thinking required, I don't mean it in a bad way. There's a little bit less planning required because you're just going to the school at a specific time and taking part in whatever the child wants to take part in. We have activity boxes at the school, or you might be enjoying lunch with the child, or you might be at the playground, and then of course you are the most popular person on the playground, or the child is the most popular person on the playground because they have a big. But there are a lot of areas, 45 to 60 minutes is what we ask in the school program. And what I would love to see, and I'm just going to put this out there because you all know people, I would love to see businesses and organizations basically make a group effort to adopt our school children. For instance, take a group of Rotarians saying we're going to take on Skyline's school, and 10 of us are going to be mentors once a week to 10 kiddos at the school. If we could do that, if we could do something like that and grow that over time, I can tell you that we would never lack for the number of kiddos that need to be matched. We're always lacking for volunteers. So that's just one way to just pour into those kiddos in their safe space in the school. And it's easy. You're already doing it with your reading program. I love that you're doing that. So if we, just to give you an idea of what it looks like to sign up to be a BIG, and this may be for you, this may be for your friend or relative or coworker. You know people, and I ask you to spread the word. We conduct thorough interviews for our bigs and our littles so that when we match them, we are matching them according to their personality, interests, likes, dislikes, even age preferences. And it's amazing how even once we will make a match that we think is perfect, and then we'll hear from them about something that we didn't know on either side, and the match is even more perfect than we expected. It's definitely a God thing. Once we set up the introduction, our goal is to continue to monitor, facilitate, support the match for the entirety of it. So we make we start out with every other week phone calls with big and little, and then we go to monthly phone calls and as needed. So if there's an issue, we are mentoring the mentor. We are providing training. We are answering questions, supporting, providing feedback. Maybe if communication is rough between parent and Big, then we're facilitating that. Maybe maybe Big is facing something with the little that he never expected to. We're facilitating that support. So that is our goal, to have a healthy, growing, solid relationship and continue to help fill that bucket. Help fill that bucket. Help fill that jar for the little. So our littles are age 6 to 18. They stay in the program until they're 18. We take kiddos up to age 15, and then we hope that they stay in the program. After 15, they're just too cool for school, and a Big is not what they're interested in anymore. That's just how it works. All of the kids that we work with, almost every child that we work with has some kind of ACE, adverse childhood experience that they're dealing with. In fact, some have been, we found, more severe than if they're too severe for our current Bigs to handle, then we just can't accept. So we are always appreciative of a Big who comes along and says, I have some experience with X, Y, or Z. Maybe they have experience with ADHD or special needs, and then we can make that connection very specifically. We ask Bigs to commit to a year. We have Bigs coming from all walks of life, and we have Bigs that range in age from, I say, 18 to 80, but then an 80-year-old told me that he has a hard time keeping up with his grandkids, so I said, okay, maybe 18 to 65-ish is more realistic. We will take Bigs of all ages, shapes, and sizes, and we want you. The reason for the commitment to a year is simply because anything less than that is it can be a little bit more damaging to the child than supportive, because they have so many people in and out of their lives. And I want to wrap up here, but I want you to close your mind's eye. You don't have to close your eyes, but just think for a moment about the person that we talked about earlier, and how they poured into you when they didn't have to, and the things that they said to you, did for you, or how they helped you get here to this place. And think about how you want to pay it forward. How did they fill up your jar? How are you a different person because they were in your life for however long they were in your life? We have 30 waiting kiddos right now. Most of them are little boys. Volunteerism has gone a bit down over the years, and we need to get that volunteerism back up. And we need men. We need all of you men in this room, and your friends, and your coworkers, and your relatives, because the need is great, and these kiddos will feel supported. You don't have to be perfect, superhero. You don't have to be any wonderful, marvelous, anything any more marvelous and wonderful than you already are, because they need so little. All they need is just love and connection. Last year, just real quick, numbers-wise, we served 70 children, and we're on our way to serving 80. And our growth is happening, but our growth is only limited by the number of volunteers that we have in place. One visit, one connection, one conversation, one week. Every time you make that connection, you are making a difference. So I wanted to share the rest of the story with regarding the woman that the grown-up little sister. She saw the light. She had hope because of what she looked back on with her big sister, and she pursued a degree and a career in fundraising, and she found her way to secondary education to do some fundraising there, and she continued to grow in her work, and found that but for mentoring, she would have she wouldn't have the life that she has now. Her siblings have chronic mental health and other illegal activities going on in their lives, and but for mentoring, she would be in that same situation. She remembers nothing positive about her parents, but she remembers the smell of her big's perfume. And today, she's an executive director for a nonprofit for transitional housing for women in the Shawnee community. But for mentoring, she would not be there. I ask you to be an advocate for us. If you think that volunteering is a possibility for you, click the QR code. Share it with someone else. If you can think of ways to help us partner with you or another organization, we need partnerships in our community. We need volunteers to help us with our fundraising events. We need volunteers to go be a big. With that, I know that my time is up, but I'm happy to entertain any questions. I hope I've touched your heart with the stories. Please consider how you can fill someone's bucket as a big, or who might be in your life that you know who could do that, and take these brochures, share them with someone. We need men, and we need mentoring. Thank you.
Hey, Steph, before you get away, I do have one question.
Yes.
We've talked on TV in the past. A lot of times we think about same gender bigs and littles, but we also have big couples.
We do have big couples. Yes, thank you for sharing that. And in fact, we have a little lady at the Chamber of Commerce who she just got married, and she and her hubby are wanting to be a big couple. So because of our great need for male volunteers, we make big couples. We connect them to a little brother, and so it just makes it so much more fun and easy to kind of be doing it together. It makes it more of a family thing. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Stephanie.